Brings us to item H, presentations and our updates. Item 6, Parish President to recognize Lafourche Parish Government Employee of the Month and or WOW employees for the month of June 2024. Mr. President, you have the floor, sir.
We're gonna pull that one this meeting, Mr. Chairman.
All right. So,
I do not away the whole. Okay.
good deal. Item I, Legal Advisor Report. They were not in attendance tonight, so nothing there. Item J, Engineers and our Architect Reports.
Good evening.
Press the button.
Good evening. Plays on with Jay Wayne. See, it's been a while since I made that mistake. With GIS Engineering, we've got a few projects to talk to you about. Is there a clicker? Or? Okay, well, then I'll look this way. The first project we have is the Butch Hill Pump Station. We're at the 99% plan set. We're right at the finish line, just wrapping up a few little odds and ends with Dylan. We have the permits, so we should be able to advertise pretty soon on that in the next month or so. Valentine Pontoon Bridge. Again, the RAISE grant is causing us some delays. We are working on, next one. Yeah. We are working on that final negotiation on whether to pull out of the RAISE grant or not. So once we get that done, we can finish up. We've pretty much completed design on that one. So again, once that paperwork is done, we should be ready to advertise. Next, the Grand Bayou Freshwater Reintroduction Project. We are working with DOTD on how to get in and around the Highway 24 bridge, but we're in final designing, moving on. This will probably be several more months, though, before we're ready to advertise on this project. Moving on, the waste collection facility, we've actually got an update even since we did this one. Dylan has sent us some comments, and we are ready to move forward with that. So our staff is moving forward, pending the comments that Dylan has sent to us. Next, the Hurricane Ida pump station rehabs. We are continuing to negotiate with FEMA on the damage description and dimensions reports. In general, we have 6 pump stations altogether, but the Ravenswood pump station, we had a preliminary kickoff meeting on this one last week, so we have started design on that project in earnest. Eunice Alamo pump station rehab, we are finished with those plans and specifications, and we are working with staff to begin advertising for that project, hopefully in the next week or two, and receive bids in the next month. Next, the Midway Drainage Study and Report. We are working on the hydrologic and hydraulic modeling. We finished the surveys a couple of months ago. We've done the preliminary runs, but we're tweaking them a little bit to get the most advantageous structures in for the parish. Next one is the Lockport Elevated Boardwalk. We have kind of finished our work. We're waiting on ELOS to coordinate with the Corps for the alignment stakeout so we can finalize that permit and move on. But there's currently no funding for construction for this project, but we're moving on so that we can move when we get that money. That's all I have for now. For directly for y'all, would like to again to mention the Ludovine Pump Station. We have awarded the North Lafourche Levy District has awarded that project to Sea Level Construction. We gave them a notice to proceed as of about 3 weeks ago. They have not moved on site yet. They're still gathering their materials, but we expect to see them on site probably next week. And that completes my report.
I'm assuming anybody got any questions? Same thing. I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have any other engineers in our architect reports? All right, brings us to item K, public wishing to address the council, public hearings, agenda items, etc. Item 7, Ms. Janet wrote us to address the council regarding a pump below the floodgate which has not been replaced by the parish and has resulted in inundation of mosquitoes due to constant standing water. Ms. Rodas, you have the floor, ma'am. After that, Ms. Carleen, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you.
Hey there.
Name and address.
You have
Yeah,
some
if
pictures?
you don't mind, just state your name and address for the record.
Janet Rodas, 21106 Highway 1, Golden Meadow. I've provided some copies for all of you in regards to the area of concern. If you're not familiar with this area, it's right after you go over the floodgate there at the levee. And prior to Ida, there was some working pumps there that kept the water out in that bay. And after Ida, it's my understanding, these pumps were damaged. And I've heard various stories, but we're coming here tonight graciously hoping that the parish president and you as the council will try and help these people that are impacted immediately. But not only the people, I mean, now that the pumps don't work, it takes, considerate additional amount of time for the water to recede on LA1, which is my understanding that I think we all know that Port Fourchon is a priority and we need to get LA1 open as soon as possible. And I think these pumps being there hinder that. I live on the north side of the levee, and I've had this property right after Katrina, and we all know that mosquitoes are part of South Louisiana life, especially with all the water and what have you. But after Ida, the mosquitoes have been relentless, and they've continued. I don't care if you're out at 8 o'clock in the morning, 10 o'clock, 2 o'clock at night, whenever, they will carry you away. And it's never been this bad, and I feel confident that this standing water on the other side of the levee is contributing to some of that, not all of it, but I'm sure it's not helping. We do contact the mosquito abatement office on a regular basis. We're on a first name basis, and they come out and do as much as they can, but they're mainly for the mosquitoes that are existing, not for mosquitoes that are going to hatch in the standing water. Again, I don't have any personal property across the levee, but I know people. Mr. Burke is here today, and I've watched him spend a fortune of his personal money and time to pull this water out with his own pumps. And then sadly, the storm came through, and a week later, and all of his work was for naught. So just here tonight to ask the parish president to please reconsider. I don't really know what the situation is with these pumps. Like I said, I've heard various stories. I've heard that FEMA offered to buy the pumps, and I've heard that, that the parish president doesn't feel that the expense is justifiable. If that's true, I would ask that you please reconsider that. And just wanted to bring this to everyone's attention and see if, if we can possibly get some progress on this matter.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Anyone have any questions? Okay, Mr. Lorraine, you have the floor, sir. Hold on, let me make sure I got you. No? Yep.
Yeah, I just want to say that there was 2 pumps that was put there before I was a councilman. I've been here 41 years, and they were there way before my time. I asked the administration and DPW, we don't agree on this one, but I asked them to put back 2 pumps. That's the only property in that little corner that's left. Everything else is washing away. Now that's been a troubled spot for me in 41 years, I can tell you that. At one time there had a lot of people living there. They have very few today. But my concern is in 1985, the levee broke and cut off. It took 3 days to fill up Ward 10. And it did. Till it equalized. And if you look at your levee system, you got a great levee system, but to me, the most vulnerable place for this levee to break is on the south end. And if it breaks, the whole tent water is going under until it equalizes. I don't care if it's at the south, if it's at the north, it's in the middle, or wherever. But that's your most dangerous spot. They have no protection. Just put back 2 pumps. One electric pump, which can't be much, for Mobley, and a mechanical pump for Serigny. We need to try to save that property because Ducks Unlimited comes over here and they're doing all kind of projects. Go take a ride to Lafourche and see all the terrace. Go see behind Golden Meadow all the terrace that they're building. They're helping us. And then the parish itself can't put 2 pumps, just 2 pumps. At least till we can maybe solve this, bring the temporary pump. We got a temporary pump at the barn that can't probably be used anywhere but there. And see if we can iron this out. I think they're going to be going look at some paperwork, something about the barn said they got some paperwork. They're going to be researching that. And, you know, that's just me. I'm not trying to get ugly. I'm not trying to fuss nobody. I just think, man, we can't put 2 pumps back and try to iron this out. And like I said, it's been a troubled area for me from day one, but we always made it. And it was way before my time. Remember, the parish built those levees. The parish maintained those pumps. FEMA elevated 2 houses there. One's gone and one's 3/4 there. And it's just a bad spot. But I think if we put back an electric pump and put back the little mechanical, it wasn't a big engine, mechanical pump, then I think we can at least keep that dry. Because one key issue you have to remember, it's still going to be another 5 years before that 2-lane gets to Leeville. So that road is used by all them people of Fouchon, Grand Isle, and everybody else. So what happens if a hurricane comes and it blows out some of that bridge when it's open to the traffic? Where are you going to go? That's an alternate route. But that's all I'm going to say is just please put back 2 pumps. And I'm being very nice about it.
Thank you, Mr. Lorraine. Any further questions? Mr. Chesson, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So as I've said over and over again, it's not as simple as just go and put 2 pumps down there, right? The 2 pump stations that were there are completely gone. We can't find most of them. I'm pretty sure it's somewhere around Cocodrie, if I had to guess. We've gone through the process with FEMA to run the numbers to rebuild those 2 pump stations. There are literally 2 people that live there. One of them is unfortunately incarcerated, and the other resident was in a FEMA trailer that I think they've taken. I don't know whether she's back in her house or I was told she owns a piece of property in Lockport, so maybe she moved north. The other 2 items that are down there is I'm assuming the motorhome is the fellow you just mentioned that has the big motorhome, and then there's an illegal RV that somebody was living in that he's not supposed to live in, which he knows he's not supposed to live in. So for us to spend, even if we were to go build the pump stations to code the way we build pump stations, we're talking $5 million. If FEMA did it, it was $8 million. I would like the other 8 councilmen up here to tell me how do we go into every council district and spend $5 to $8 million to help 2 people, right? I understand it, and I've said it over and over again. We raised 5 structures over there after Katrina, Rita, Gustav, and Ike. I was personally involved in them. One of which was the lady who still lives down there, who was in the FEMA trailer. My heart breaks for him. HGA, when we first got the $52 million after Hurricane Ida, made attempts to buy out that property. They all told us no. So what are we supposed to do, guys? I understand, and Ms. Rodas, I don't think that little pocket of water down there is causing you a mosquito problem. I live in Lockport, and the mosquitoes are just as bad. So I really don't think that's a huge issue. When we look at things like keeping LA1 open, when Tropical Storm Alberto came across and went to Mexico a couple of weeks ago, the water didn't come from the back. The water came from by Lafourche and came over and flooded that particular area. So even if we get a storm, and again, this is where Councilman Lorraine and I disagree, I don't think the Little Mobley-Serigny levee plays an integral role in protecting the big South Lafourche levee system, right? The levee's at 18 foot. The Mobley-Serigny levee's maybe at 4 foot. So if that levee breaks and causes the big levee to catastrophically fail, then Wendell did something wrong his whole career, right? Engineeringly, I don't think that's possible. And we could have Mr. MIT look at it. I don't think that's going to be an issue. But I can't sit here and look the other 8 of you in the face and spend $7 to $8 million to protect 2 people. When we offered to give them a reasonable outlook to get out, to dredge material from Bayou Lafourche, to pump in that area, to make it a solid piece of ground, to make it a green space, to improve the environment, along with all the other fun stuff that Ducks Unlimited is doing. Unfortunately, we see it across the coast. You have to draw a line in the sand somewhere, right? And it just so happens that the 2 people that are still there are the line in the sand. Right? We're not doing anything to protect Leeville, which I know Ms. Rodas has advocated for years, right? And we've disagreed on those issues, but, and how to do it. But if we're not going to spend the money to protect Leeville, why would we spend it 2 miles up the road to do it here? Right? When we've given these people an avenue out. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I appreciate the pleas, Mr. Lorraine. And if there was anything we could do, I would love to, but we'd fight a losing battle. The gentleman who is unfortunately incarcerated, cut a hole in the levee before he went to jail. And I think that's where most of the water's coming from. It's bleeding in when the tide comes up. As high as the water is, we can't figure out where to go plug it, even if we tried, right? Without some supreme pumping power, which I don't know that we have at the moment, because we have all temporary pumps deployed other places. So, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. President. Follow up, Mr. Lorraine.
Yeah,
Hold on, go ahead.
I just think that there's really not much people living there. But my way of thinking, of course, my way of thinking might not be your way of thinking. I am thinking about all the people that live in Ward 10. If that levee breaks there, and that's where it's vulnerable to break, you got more than 2 people. You got 15,000 probably. That's going to be in danger. And 2 pumps, and Archie, it ain't gonna be no $5-6 million. You're not asking to build a levee. After Hurricane, well, which one was it? I don't remember. We went there when Charlotte was in office, and we redid the whole levee. And it's not gonna be no $5 or $6 million. Come on. It's just to save what you got, and just 2 pumps. I could probably go show you some areas in this parish where they have pumps that shouldn't be, but that's another story.
And Mr. Chairman, if I can, those
All right,
pumps
hold on, Mr. President. Is that you? All right, go ahead, Archie.
So, and those pumps were probably put before you were in office, and definitely were put in place before I was in office. But I can't just go throw something out there like we used to do, right? It's got to be built to code. It's got to be built to a standard. We just bid out the Alley-Dale pump in Mr. Araby's district, right? Which is something similar to what we'd have to put down there because the elevations are much higher down there. That simple pump station in the back of Racing was $4.3 million. You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. President. All right, we'll move on, and I'll just state, we do have an ordinance somewhere about talking about the same item over and over and over, and I haven't heard anything new tonight, so I would just respectfully ask that if we bring it up in the future, it's something new, instead of just the same, because we're not making any ground, in other words. So if there's something new to offer, then I think we can discuss. Otherwise, I think we'd be violating what our ordinance says. Go ahead, Ms. Carling.
Mr. Tony Burke, if you'd come to the podium, sir, state your name and address for the record. And please remember, you have 3 minutes.
My name's Tony Burke.
You have to turn the mic on, Mr. Burke.
Ma'am?
You have to turn the mic on.
Yeah, but
There you go. Is that better? My name's Tony Burke, 21454 LA1. I'm just where y'all were speaking about. I'm the one that got the motorhome. I'm the one that closed the levee up. I brought my machine down there. I closed the levee up. I've done everything down there. I've pumped for a month. Donate me the pump he's talking about. I'll fill it up. I'll pay the maintenance on it. I'll do all of that. I can't spend $6,000 a month on a pump though. If you donate me a pump, an old pump, I don't care. I'll make it work. Like, do something. I don't know what y'all want me to do. I bought the property the month after Ida. I didn't get anything from you saying, hey, I'll buy it out. Nothing. I didn't have any clue that there were going to be no pumps. It was dry when I bought it. Now I want it dry again. Like, this is ridiculous. People want to build right there. They can't because we're 4 foot in the water. So, like, can we get any help from anybody? I mean, I know you said we're not. So what can we do? You said earlier, whoever did the prayer said that you want to take care of people in Lafourche Parish. Well, I'm in Lafourche Parish. I'm trying to be in Lafourche Parish. If I can ever build down there or get me something down there permanent, I will be there. That's why I bought the property. There's no chance of that with 4 feet of water all the time on my property. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Burke.
Mr. Reggie Pellegrin, if you'd come to the podium, sir. State your name and address for the record. Please remember you have 3 minutes.
It's on. My name's Reggie Pellegrin, 432 Texas Gulf Road in Berg. And I was asking about the flooding below Bouquet Street. Is there anything in plans for a levee to be built, or?
DPW, y'all have any answers, any inquiries? Or do y'all want to get his number and maybe communicate with him on the side? I'm unaware of it. I haven't heard of that before. Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So real quick, I think this dates back. I think the last time we were there was in the hurricane season of 2020, 2021, when you guys had a real bad flood back there. We took the airboat, went jog around, tried to figure out some things that we can do. Yeah. We had some subsequent meetings with Terrebonne Parish to see how we can kind of coordinate to build a levee through that section. We've had some initial discussions with some engineers to try to figure out how to do it, right-of-ways we'd need, stuff like that. Our bigger hope is that parts of Morganza will help save it, so we don't have to build such an expansive levee in there. The second issue we run into is how do we fund it, right? So we're working through those issues. Hopefully next year through CPRA, some capital outlay dollars, we can maybe work some magic, but there's some hope and some talks about building a levee system to that area.
Okay.
And I know it inundates the pump at Texas Gulf Road. You know, Vaughn and the Bob Bluefield office do the best of job as they can to try to keep it down. But like when Alberto came through a couple weeks ago, I know is when you guys had a big issue as well. It's just the south wind. There's really no protection in that particular area, so it's something that we're working on. Something we've talked to Councilman Rodrigue about, so we're aware of it.
Anything else?
We could talk to you after if you want. Yeah.
I'd like to have a discussion on that.
Great. Very good. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Ms. Charlene Rodriguez, you'd come to the podium. Ms. Charlene, state your name and address for the record. Please remember you have 3 minutes.
Good afternoon, Charlene Rodriguez, Post Office Box 500, Raceland. I'm just coming here to remind our seniors that the commodities for Lafourche Council on Aging and Catholic Charities for the month of July has been canceled till further notice. We'll let them all know once they have the new date scheduled. Catholic Charities no longer has the contract. Feeding Louisiana Second Harvest has taken over and needs time to regroup. Okay?
Thank you, Ms. Charlene, for that notice.
That's it, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Carleen.
Yes, sir.
Brings us to item L, public hearing and ordinances for ratification. I now entertain a motion to open public hearing, so moved by Mr. Perk, second by Mr. Arabi. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion carries by a vote of 6 yeas, 0 nays, 3 absences, that being Adams, Melvin, and Brumfield. With that said, we'll move to item 8, ordinance approving NOLA Title Group LLC and SRI Services Incorporated to publicly advertise and auction the adjudicated property located at 118 West 213th Street, Galliano, Louisiana, 70354, for assessment number 0102025900, with a minimum starting bid of $26,420.41, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer any and all relevant documents. Moved by Mr. Lorraine for the administration, second by Mr. Arabi. Would anyone from the public like to comment on the ordinance at number 8? Second call, public comments on the ordinance at number 8. Last and final call, anyone from the public like to comment on the ordinance at number 8? Anyone from the council? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion passes 6 yeas, 0 nays, 3 absences. Those absences being Adams, Melvin, and Brumfield. Item 9, ordinance approving a lease agreement between Anby LLC and Lafourche Parish Government for leasing the premises located at 525 Justin Street, Lockport, Louisiana, 70374, to house the Lafourche Parish Coroner's Office, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any all relevant document. Mr. Perk will move on behalf of the administration, second by Mr. Arabi. Would anyone from the public like to comment on the ordinance at number 9? Second call, public input, ordinance at number 9. Last and final call, anyone would like to comment on the ordinance at number 9? Anyone from the council? There being none, we'll bring it to a vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes 6 yeas, 0 nays, 3 absences, those absences being Adams, Melvin, and Brumfield. Brings us to item 10, ordinance providing for a 2024 supplemental appropriation 24-006 within the 2024 operations and maintenance budget and capital outlay budget, increasing the budget for the coroner, district court, Head Start, capital projects, and deobligate culvert project, Beaufort and Market Street, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer such transactions as provided for by Article 6 of the Lafourche Parish Home Rule Charter. Mr. Perk for the administration, second by Mr. Rodrigue. On this one, we have an amendment from the floor. Amendment from the floor to item 10. This will be moved by Councilman Araby. The amendment is to remove the language to deobligate culvert project Beaufort and Market Street throughout the ordinance, basically keeping that project on board. Can I get a second for that amendment? Second by Mr. Rodrigue. Would anyone from the public like to comment? Is everyone clear on the amendment? Anyone from the public like to comment on the amendment? The amendment is to leave in the culvert project Beaufort and Market Street. Second call, anyone from the public like to comment on this amendment? Last and final call, anyone from the public like to comment on the amendment? Anyone from the council wants to discuss the amendment? Everyone clear? Then we'll bring the amendment to a vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion passes with 6 yeas, 0 nays, 3 absences. Those absences being Melvin, Adams, and Brumfield. Now we will move on the ordinance as amended. Would anyone from the public like to comment on the ordinance as amended? Second call, public input, ordinance as amended. Last and final call, anyone from the public likes to comment on the ordinance as amended? Anyone from the council? Mr. Araby, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Looking through this ordinance and reading all the stuff that came with it in reference to the coroner's office, some of the changes that we making to the coroner's office, I think was made a couple of months back. More or less the same changes, just to add a few more dollars to the salary. And it was vetoed by the parish president. If we vote for this in tonight, will he veto it again?
Only Mr. President can answer that one. Mr. President?
So it's not this particular ordinance. I mean, there is some stuff in there about the coroner's office, but this has to do with moving some budgetary numbers. It's not necessarily the ordinance that fixes it that's going to be proposed, number 13. But I will say, Mr. Chairman, since I have the floor, I might veto the ordinance because of the amendment that was just added, and only because, and nothing against Councilman Araby, the DPW director and the parish administrator met with Mr. Araby. We went to meet with some folks that he told us to go see to talk about the issue on Market Street. We were told that there was no issue on Market Street and Beaufort Street. By the person we were told to go meet with, who is also a parish employee. There are a couple of low-lying houses that we have issues with. So we were moving the money out of that project instead of wasting it on a project that we're not going to have the ability to do anyway, into fixing some pump stations. So we'll see where that goes. But to answer your question about item number 13, Mr. Araby, no, I will not veto that one again.
I didn't think you
So
would.
proposed. Yeah.
I didn't think you would veto it this time. But anyway, getting back to Market Street, Mr. Chasson, I know who you talked to, and I know some of the employees y'all talked to. And we do have low-lying areas in that, all subdivisions, 2 of them. And you can't tell me another outlet to the Reservoir Canal coming straight off of Market Street is not going to help that water get out of there. Right now, that water has to make 2 90-degree turns to get out. 2 90-degree turns, not one. A straight shot was going to be a hell of a lot better than making 2 90-degree turns. I don't know where you got your engineering degree at, but common sense tells me if the water goes straight into the reservoir, it'll be a hell of a lot quicker than making 2 90-degree turns. Thank you.
All right, any further comments? With that said, we'll move to a vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 6 yeas, 0 nays, 3 absences. Those absences being Adams, Melvin, and Brumfield. I now entertain a motion to close public hearing. So moved by Ms. Shesson, second by Mr. Lorraine. All in favor signify by saying aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion carries 6 yeas, 0 nays, 3 absences. Those absences being Adams, Melvin, and Brumfield.
The amendment, Mr. Okay. That's the amendment for that item.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, so the ordinance passed as amended.
Gotcha, but I needed the amendment. Got it.
Think so, anyway.
Yes, sir.
We good? Everybody understands what we just did? All right. Okay, item M, proposed ordinances. Number 11, proposed ordinance approving NOLA Title Group LLC and SRI Services Incorporated public advertising auction to adjudicated property located at 20644 Highway 1, Golden Meadow, Louisiana, 70357. Assessment number 0102155800 with a minimum starting bid of $11,962.14 and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer any and all relevant documents. This will be by Mr. Lorraine for the administration. Item 12, proposed ordinance approving amendment number 1 to the lease agreement with J-Bond Properties LLC to serve clients affected by the opioid epidemic and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said amendment and any all relevant documents. This will be by Mr. Perk for the administration. Item 13, proposed ordinance amending and reenacting Chapter 26 of Lafourche Parish Code of Ordinances as it pertains to offenses and miscellaneous provisions and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer any all relevant documents. This will be moved by Mr. Perk for the administration. With that said, we'll move to item N, resolutions. Number 14, resolution in support of rocking the coastal barrier islands and rocking to narrow the island channels off the coast of Lafourche and Terrebonne Parish. Motion by Mr. Lorraine, second by Mr. Roderick. Any discussion? Mr. Lorraine, you have the floor, sir.
Yeah, if y'all been watching the news, they're talking about rocking everything from Louisiana to wherever. Florida, Mississippi. No, Florida won't let you put no rocks.
Who's the funding source for that? This is the first I hear of it.
No, what it is that they rebuild the island, and that island protects Lafourche and Terrebonne, one of the barrier islands, and they came up with the idea of maybe rocking it.
Who's they, though? Is that CPRA or something? Who is that?
CPRA, yeah.
Who? Mr.
Yeah.
Chesson?
So Chairman, one of Chairman Dove's initiatives is to try to rock the coast from
So it's coming from CPRA?
segmented breakwaters. There is no funding for it, though. So I think if you watched the news article last night that was on Channel 8, there's differing opinions about whether or not it works in certain substyles or certain substrates in the soils. I mean, in some cases it works. I know Mr. Perk sees it all the time in the work it's doing around Grand Isle. So yeah, let's roll with it.
Okay, that's the first I hear of it, that's why I asked. Good resolution. Any further, go ahead, Mr. Lorraine.
They'd pump some sand on there, right, Archie? That big island that they're talking about? Yeah, they'd put a bunch of sand, but then they don't have, if you remember Bird Island.
I do, been there.
They had all them rocks, you know how long it lasted? Now, it's all gone. So it's just a thought. And then we might be able to get the money from Lafourche, $5 million.
All right. There being no further discussion, we'll bring it to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion passes 6 yeas, 0 nays, 3 absences. Those absences being Adams, Melvin, and Brumfield. Item 15, resolution requesting Louisiana Attorney General to render an opinion as to whether Lake Bluff Game and Fish Commission can be created, and if so, may the Lafourche Parish Council create it? And secondly, will the commission be subject to the Department of Wildlife and Fisheries Control? And if so, how does the commission go about obtaining the transfer of functions? Moved by Mr. Araby, second by Mr. Lorraine. Anyone wants to discuss? I will tell you, I did talk to the district attorney, and they are in favor of getting this opinion. Mr. Araby, you have the floor, sir.
And the reason why we're doing this is that we're getting some different replies from who has the authority to make this commission. And we approached Assistant District Attorney, and she recommends that we get an Attorney General's opinion so that we can get the right answer, so that if we decide to take action, or whoever has to take the action to make this commission, if it's made, we'll be on the right page. That's the only reason why we do it.
Good deal. And I know when I talked to Secretary Jack, which I know he's a couple of secretaries ago, but he was very much in favor of the locals controlling, having these commissions to help out on their water bodies. So I'm sure Wildlife and Fisheries will be on board. It's just a matter how do you correctly go about doing it. Any further discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion passes 6 yeas, 0 nays, 3 absences. Those absences being Adams, Melvin, and Brumfield. Item 16, resolution appointing one member to the Keep Lafourche Beautiful Committee representing Fletcher Technical Community College. Mr. Perk for the administration. We have Mr. Perk.
We have one vacancy, one appointment, Mr. Trey Clark.
Mr. Clark, second by Mr. Roderick. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion passes with 6 yeas, 0 nays, 3 absences. Those absences being Adams, Melvin, and Brumfield. Did y'all pick up, I didn't recognize Perk. Did y'all pick him up on the, he did state the name Clark. All right. Yeah, he had pressed his mic and I didn't recognize him, but I did say he did it, so as long as she got it.
You heard it.
Yeah, good deal. All right. I'm going to press it for the next one. Item 17, resolution reappointing one member on the Fire Protection District Number 3 Board representing the town of Golden Meadow. Mr. Lorraine for the administration. Who do you have, Mr. Lorraine?
One applicant and one position, Troy Dufresne.
Mr. Dufresne, second by Mr. Rodrigue. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Is anyone opposed? Motion passes with 6 yeas, 0 nays, 3 absences. Those absences being Adams, Melvin, and Brumfield. Item 18, resolution appointing one member to the Ambulance Service District Number 1 Board. Ms. Shessoff for the administration. Who do you have, Ms. Shessoff?
One vacancy, one appointment, Mr. Tad Lafont.
Mr. Lafont, second by Mr. Lorraine. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Is anyone opposed? Motion passes 6 yeas, 0 nays, 3 absences. Those absences being Adams, Melvin, and Brumfield. Item 19, resolution reappointing one member on the Fire Protection District Number 3 Board. Mr. Lorraine for the administration. Who do you have, Mr. Lorraine?
One vacancy and one applicant, Dean Savoy.
Mr. Dean Savoy, second by Mr. Perk. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Is anyone opposed? Motion passes 6 yeas, 0 nays, 3 absences. Those absences being Adams, Melvin, and Brumfield. Item 20, resolution reappointing one member on the Fire Protection District Number 8-A Board. Mr. Perk for the administration. Who do you have, Mr. Perk?
We have one vacancy, one reappointment, Mr. Jonathan Cortez.
Mr. Cortez, second by Mr. Lorraine. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes 6 yeas, 0 nays, 3 absences. Those absences being Adams, Melvin, and Brumfield. Item 21, resolution appointing one member on the Fire Protection District Number 6 Board. Mr. Perk for the administration. Who do you have, Mr. Perk?
We have one vacancy, one applicant, Mr. Stephen Lindley.
Mr. Lindley, second by Mr. Lorraine. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Is anyone opposed? Motion passes 6 yeas, 0 nays, 3 absences. Those absences being Adams, Melvin, and Brumfield. Item 22, resolution approving to opt in allowing for expedited temporary housing assistance to the Governor's Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness, GOSEP, and authorizing the parish president to sign and execute and administer said form and any and all relevant documents. Mr. Perk for the administration, second by Mr. Araby. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 6 yeas, 0 nays, 3 absences. Those absences being Adams, Melvin, and Brumfield. Item 23, resolution approving change order number 3 for the project titled New Rodeo Arena and Miscellaneous Repairs to the Raceland Ag Facility, increasing the contract price by $114,585.93 and adding 52 additional days and authorizing the parish president to sign and execute and administer said change order and any and all relevant documents. Moved by Mr. Araby for administration, second by Mr. Lorraine. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion passes 6 yeas, 0 nays, 3 absences. Those absences being Adams, Melvin, and Brumfield. Item 24, resolution approving an agreement between Lafourche Parish Sheriff's Office and Lafourche Parish Government to provide food services at Lafourche Parish Head Start sites and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any other relevant documents. Moved by Ms. Shessoff for the administration, second by Mr. Rodrigue. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Is anyone opposed? Motion passes 6 yeas, 0 nays, 3 absences. Those absences being Adams, Melvin, and Brumfield. Item 25, resolution approving task order number 1 with the Laterre Engineering for the removal of marine debris from Hurricane Ida, Barataria, Terrebonne National Estuary Project, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said task order and any and all relevant documents. Moved by Mr. Roderick, second by Mr. Perk. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes 6 yeas, 0 nays, 3 absences. Those absences being Adams, Melvin, and Brumfield. Item 26, resolution approving change order number 3 for the project titled Hurricane Ida Repairs, Lafourche Government Complex Phase 1 re-roofing, adding 60 days to the contract price and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said change order and any all relevant documents. Mr. Perk for the administration, second by Mr. Araby. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Is anyone opposed? Motion passes 6 yeas, 0 nays, 3 absences. Those absences being Adams, Melvin, and Brumfield. Item 27, resolution approving agreement between the Governor's Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness and Lafourche Parish Government for the project titled Lafourche Parish Elevation Project 1 and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any all relevant documents. Ms. Shessoff for the administration, second by Mr. Roderick. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion passes 6 yeas, 0 nays, 3 absences. Those absences being Adams, Melvin, and Brumfield. Item 28, resolution approving agreement between the State of Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development and Lafourche Parish Government for the project titled West Side Drainage Improvements, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and all relevant documents. Ms. Shessoff at administration, second by Mr. Lorraine. Any discussion? Ms. Shessoff.
I would like to call on Dylan to explain what's going on here with these West Side projects and what's all involved, because we're getting hit, both Archie and I, on drainage between the streets and going onto 3235. So if you could explain why we're doing this and how it's going to help alleviate some of this. And
Mr. Department of Public Works Director, do you wish to address that? You have the floor, sir.
I'll be as brief as possible. Long story short, what we're looking at here is there's 8 different locations that we submitted to DOTD through the statewide flood control application. What we are looking to do here is add additional culverts, not replace the culverts that are there, add additional culverts at a lower invert. What we believe is happening in some of these areas, and the model is showing it, the water is stacking up on the upstream side of 3235, and if we could lower it to a lower elevation in a pre-storm condition, it could accept more water at that time. And then the culverts that are there would essentially be the high water flow. So money's going to dictate how many of these we can do, and we're going to attack the worst ones first, but there are 8 locations that are being studied. And they range from West 11th and 13th all the way down to West 217th.
Enough? All right, thank you, Dylan. Appreciate that. With that said, any further discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion passes 6 yeas, 0 nays, 3 absences. Those absences being Adams, Melvin, and Brumfield. Item 29, resolution accepting a grant from the Bayou Community Foundation in the amount of $13,000 for the Reverend Lloyd Wallace Community Center, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer any and all relevant documents. Mr. Araby for the administration, second by Mr. Perk. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion passes 6 yeas, 0 nays, 3 absences. Those absences being Melvin, Adams, and Brumfield. Item 30, resolution accepting funding from the United States Department of Energy through the Energy Efficiency and Conservation Block Grant, EECBG, voucher rebate program, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer any and all relevant documents. Ms. Shessoff at administration, second by Mr. Araby. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion passes 6 yeas, 0 nays, 3 absences. Those absences being Adams, Melvin, and Brumfield. Item 31, resolution approving an agreement between Thibodeau Soccer Association and Lafourche Parish Government for use of vacant property at Heroes Park, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any all relevant documents. Mr. Perk for the administration, second by Mr. Lorraine. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion passes 6 yeas, 0 nays, 3 absences. Those absences being Adams, Melvin, and Brumfield. Brings us to item O, Parish President, Department Heads, Directors, or Managers' Reports, Presentation, and/or Updates. And item number 32, Department of Public Works Representative to present a report. Dylan, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you, sir. Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. At the Thibodeau Field offices, Boudreaux Lane, swept roadside ditches. Maywood Place, swept roadside ditches. Farty Open Road, also swept roadside ditches. Half Oak Drive, replaced the collapsed driveway culvert. Moving to Choctaw Field offices, Zeller Pump Station. We had a failure with one of the pumps at that pump station. Is currently being repaired, but while it's being repaired, we have installed a portable pump. Choctaw Road, replaced collapsed driveway culvert. Moving to Bayou Blue Field office, Smith Willow Drive, swept roadside ditches. Sandy Lane, swept roadside ditches. Hidden Acre Street, lower driveway culvert. We found through a survey, we found a culvert that was 6 to 7 inches high, and we were having a little bit of flooding and holding back of water in an area. So we believe that this will not completely alleviate the problem, but help. St. Charles Bypass Road, replaced collapsed driveway culvert. Marlene Street, swept roadside ditches. Maxine Boulevard, outfall, shred trees and swept outfall. Bayou Blue Bypass Road, installed driveway culvert. Moving to Raceland Field offices, Blanchard Canal at Daisy Lane, placed riprap to stabilize the bank. Charles Avenue right-of-way, cleared trees on the right-of-way. Market Street, swept roadside ditches. Hodson Lane outfall, clear vegetation. The Lockport Field Office, First Street, remove collapsed landscape culverts. Adams Street, remove bucket from a culvert. This is one where we actually had to remove the culvert to get the bucket out. The vac truck would not take it out on its own. So the culvert had to actually be removed to find the bucket.
That street is going to hell.
Boulay North outfall, swept outfall. Bouverin Circle, swept roadside ditches. Moving to Galliana Field Office, West 37th Street, swept roadside ditches. West 79th Street, replaced collapsed driveway culvert. Leeville Fishing Pier, installed no throwing of cast net signs. East 59th Street, removed collapsed landscape culverts. West 157th Street, removed the fallen tree from the outfall. As far as work completed by the maintenance contractor, this is Treg Lane. This is an asphalt patch. An asphalt patch on Cypress Street. Another one on First Street. And a second one on First Street. Chestnut Ridge, repaired curb. Another asphalt patch on LeBlanc Drive. Romy Drive asphalt patch. Some of these y'all gonna notice that it's stuff we've been waiting on for a long time. The contractor went around and batched asphalt, so we got a lot of asphalt patches done across the parish. East 175th Street asphalt patch. As far as the work completed in the office over the last month, it was 1 permanent servitude acquired, 1 major subdivision inspection, and 1 major subdivision review. 3 property redivision reviews, 12 culvert permits, and 1 fence permit were issued. 365 work requests were received, 100 permits were reviewed for compliance. There were a total of 7 jobs completed by the maintenance contract over the last month. And always as far as engineering projects, 24 projects in design phase, 8 projects under construction, 1 project is currently out for bid, and there are no projects complete, but we did receive substantial completion for the road sales tax 2 project, so that will be updated next month. And that's it for my report. I'll entertain any questions.
Questions for DPW? All right. Thank you, Dylan.
Thank you.
Brings us to item P, questions for the administration. There being none, brings us to item Q, discussion. Anyone have any discussion? I will say, as y'all saw earlier on the agenda, they had Ms. Rodas here. I'm not sure why there's an ordinance that allows you to get on the agenda as just a public wishing. We already have public wishing, so it's just more data is being put on paper and you having to publish it. So I would recommend that we maybe remove that from the ordinance. If you public wish and address, you come and address us anyway. You don't need to be on the agenda. So at some point that was added years ago. The other thing is we probably need to come up with a policy in terms of electronic presentations from the public. My thoughts are it should be hard copy, which is what I asked of her, because who's going to vet any kind of electronic stuff, and then are we going to rely on the administration to make that presentation? So I just wanted to get y'all input on what y'all thought. I mean, I'm not trying to be a dictator here. I think that public's already addressing, so I don't think they need to be on the agenda unless y'all see some other reason. And the electronic side, I think it'd be better to have a hard copy. It's better for the minutes, for the record keeping, versus somebody having to vet what's going to be in that presentation, if y'all follow me. So maybe we could work towards an ordinance on that, unless somebody objects that I have some other ideas. Good?
Makes sense. I just think,
Hold on, go ahead. Press your button, Ms. Lorraine. Go ahead,
I just
Dane.
think that if somebody wants to put something on the agenda, they're quite welcome to do it. This is a public meeting. This is not a private meeting. And they should feel free, if that's what they want to do it. And if they don't show up, they don't show up.
I think that's one of my biggest things, is it seems like we keep putting stuff on the agenda.
No, I
and then that showed up.
but I just think you're not being fair with the public, my opinion.
But we have public wish and address the council.
I understand that, but what if they're running late or something? They decide they want to just put it on way ahead of time, and because when the lady came here tonight, I said, you ain't got to fill that out. You're already on the agenda. So, no big deal.
I know the last few meetings, we've been having a lot where we're publishing a lot of information, and then they're not showing up. Not only in the public, but even with some of the boards, like maybe even that section too, it could be just open for boards and commissions to do a report. I don't know, I think it'd be a little more streamlined, and it's a little bit less chaotic, in my opinion, and it's already in the agenda, and we're abiding by, the, what would you call it, open meetings laws. We're abiding by just having public wish and address.
At least when
And
it's
we
on
can do
the
it at
agenda, you know they're coming. Over here, it's cold turkey.
And we
You
could
got
put it,
time to research.
and we could, at one time, we did have public wish and address at the end, and we could do that too if you think like somebody's gonna be running late. Anyway, so I'm gonna work towards an ordinance, we can keep it up and, we'll see how it goes, but I just think, especially the electronic thing, I think that could be an issue. With somebody come in and present something that we maybe don't wanna see on the screen. I don't know how you vet it, I'm not vetting it. Anyway, that's the only discussion I had. If there's no other discussion, and it seems there's none, that brings us to item R, on a motion by Mr. Perk, second by Mr. Araby, and with no further business, Lafourche Parish Council regular meeting of July 9, 2024 will be adjourned at 1800 hours. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 60 yeas, 0 nays, 3 absences. Those absences being Adams, Melvin, and Brumfield. Thank y'all.
You are the man.
I smell